Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to this week's segment of Live Without Limits. Today's show is titled 7 Costly Mistakes That Are Keeping You Stuck. Why are we talking about this? For many reasons, but the main reason being that when you look at your daily activities, you need to look at how you can make the most of everything that you want to do, but do it in a way that can help you achieve what it is that you want to do. So, what if your ladder to success is leaning against the wrong wall, said Noah St. John. Many people come up to me during my live events or contact me in social media and say something like this. I'm stuck. It seems like I'm working harder and harder just to stay in place. Can you help me get unstuck? So, when we're looking at how you're going to help someone get unstuck, then let's look at the things that you do that truly help people help themselves. It happened so much that I began extensive research to answer 2 basic questions. What does being stuck really mean? And how can I help people get unstuck? Through the course of my research, 7 costly mistakes that are keeping many people stuck. See how many of these that you can recognize. And once you do that, look for ways that you can answer them and take care of them and ways that you can overcome them. So, mistake number 1, lack of belief in yourself. The first mistake I see people making is a lack of belief in themselves. This means people just don't have enough confidence to think that they can do it. That leads to many missed opportunities because they're telling themselves that they're not good enough or they need to be someone else in order to have the success that they want. Here's also some other things to think about. Transactional analysis talks about the adult, the child, and the parent. The parent often says, you should. The adult says, I am able to. And the child says, I want. What you really need to do is sit down, write down all the things that you believe you're able to do, then write down all the things that your child says it wants, then think about all of the things that your parents or important adults in your life often said to you that you should do, and then see how those things conflict with what it is that you believe you're capable of doing, and see how that in itself creates that feeling of being stuck. Because what happens is when you hear constantly people telling you what you can't do as opposed to what you can do, then what truly happens is this. You will hear those things over and over again in your head, and until you get rid of them, then you are creating the situation that puts you in that position where you're stuck and you can't move forward because you're constantly putting the brake on before you even try what it is that you want to do. Mistake number 2, lack of a support system. The second costly mistake is lack of a support system. This is closely related to having a lack of belief in yourself, because if you don't have the right people in place who can help you fulfill your dreams, it's awful hard to believe in yourself. You might feel lost and alone and feel like you're swimming upstream. That's going to make it very hard on you. And people might even make fun of you when your results don't come right away. Maybe when you share your dreams with the people in your life, they say things like, "Are you kidding? That's impossible. No one in our family ever did that. What makes you think you can do it?" They just shoot you down, and that can really hold you back. I'm not saying that it's your fault, but you've got to be aware of it, and because it can be costly to you in big time. So remember, we were just talking about how when you think of all the things you believe you're capable of, but when you're constantly making the remarks like this, that no one is, you are hearing the things that are very negative, and that's what's keeping you from moving forward with everything in your life. Therefore, it's up to you to decide, what are you going to do? All of those things that you've done that really affect how you live your life. Because what you first have to do is recognize it. Once you recognize it, then you have to find out how to get rid of it. And that's when you have to that can help you begin to think differently in how you observe things and how you see things, and that you get rid of all of the negativity around you. And a mother or had a mother. Get away from her, as far away from her as I could, and live the life that I was meant to live. And I even had to tell her to shut up and stop telling me what I could or couldn't do, because she had no idea what I was truly capable of. She was just totally a negative person. And her negativity, yeah, it affected me in a lot of ways, but it didn't stop me from living the life that I was meant to live. And I've achieved far more in my life than they ever would have expected. So much so that because they couldn't control me one way, they tried to control me another way, and that was in a financial situation. And they found out they couldn't. Mistake number 3, fear of failure. The third costly mistake is the fear of failure. That often leads to paralysis by analysis, waiting for everything to be perfect before you take action. In business, just like in life, nothing is ever actually perfect. You're never really ready. You just have to act anyway. I have failed. I can't tell you how many times I spent over $250,000 to learn how to run a profitable company and be successful. You can't let fear of failure stop you. Just because you fail doesn't mean that you're a failure. Fear of failure becomes something that so many people let run their lives. And you really can't do that. You have to be aware that it's up to you to change your lifestyle and to change how you see yourself. It's totally a mindset that you have. It's a mindset that you need to be aware of, and how you, as the individual, can take control of your life and live it to the ability that will help you live that lifestyle that matters to you most. And always, always remember this: you are who you are meant to be. And the thing about failure is that when you're working on a project, it's trial and error. It's all part of the learning curve. So that what happens is that as you're learning, then you're going to have setbacks, and those setbacks are a way to learn. So don't always think that failure is a terrible thing, because to an extent it has its place. Now, another thing that people have a problem with is fear of success. Why fear of success? Because guess what? This means that you're waiting again, like when you have the fear of failure. But in this case, you're afraid of success. Maybe you're afraid of losing your so-called friends when you become really successful. Can you see how many of these costly mistakes are related to that lack of support system, the fear of failure, the fear of success? It sounds counterintuitive, but they really go hand in hand. Remember, the people you hang around. If you hang around successful people, you're going to be successful. If you hang around negative people who don't even try, then what's going to happen is they're going to pull you back, because they fear your success as much as you do, because they're afraid that when you succeed, it will show up their own shortcomings. And if that's the situation, then maybe you really, truly need to find a whole new group of friends. For instance, success is something it's not really something you can actually touch. It's a goal that you set, that you work towards. And if you break down that goal into workable, smaller activities, then along the way you may have some failures, but when you take and rechange and redo your strategy, then what happens? That can turn around and it can become successful. But it's a matter of what type of support system do you have around you? Are they successful people who can lead you in the right direction, or are they people who themselves fear success? Who you surround yourself really does make a difference. Mistake number 5, lack of organization. The 5th costly mistake is the lack of organization. Many people have clutter in their home or office, which leads to things like chronic lateness, constantly feeling overwhelmed, and so on. You can suffer if you're suffering from this if you have trouble finding important papers, files, or keys, or even your computer. I'm not kidding. We actually had a client come to me and told me that she had trouble finding her computer because her office was so cluttered. Now, certainly that's an extreme case, but disorganization will cost you, even if it's not that extreme. If you're unorganized, you're essentially reinventing the wheel each time you need to do something, find something, or launch something, and that's going directly to affect your bank account. You know, I recently had something with my computer with the HP support assistant, and I actually called HP, and because my computer's out of warranty because I've had it going on 3 years, and when I had it custom built, I had it built specifically to my needs and set up in such a way that I wouldn't have to go replace a computer every 4 to 5 years and keep it much longer. And guess what? Because it's had a warranty, they want me to pay more. And when I actually went on their site and looked up cannot open HP support system, you know what it told me to do? To go back and restore it to a point where the system opened. So if you understand and if you keep things organized, then guess what? It's important when you're in business and you're an entrepreneur that you keep good records, and you should always organize things, because it's when you have clutter around, guess what? It's like, what did they say? That you have to get rid of the clutter to have new things come back into your life. That what it does is it stalls you out. It keeps you from moving ahead in your life to find that success that you want. It's a way that you are actually sabotaging yourself and your own success because you allowed the things that other people told you. And some people just thrive on clutter. But when you run a business or when you have to live your life, you really can't live in clutter. Mistake number 6, lack of effective strategy. Mistake number 6 is lack of effective strategy. That means you're not sure what to do next and spend a lot of time wondering what you're supposed to be doing. You're working really hard, but seeing others who are less qualified than you are getting ahead of you. That's one of the most pains there is, seeing people who aren't even as good as you become more successful than you. That hurts, but that really is a function of not having the right strategy in place. So let's look at it this way. Having the right strategy literally means that you have written down your goal and you've sat down and you looked at every little thing you have to do to achieve that goal. And I remember a story that someone told that he was with his grandfather, and they were planting the seeds for corn, and he looked all the way down, and he was like, I can't do that. You know what his grandfather told him? Turn your back and put the seeds in as you're moving along and move backward. That way, when you get to the end, then you can see how far you've come rather than how far you have to go. And you know what? That is a great way to look at how you achieve something. Put together a strategy and just look at your time of day. Look at all the things you have to do. Write down what you're going to do when, and stick to your schedule, and you will find that you can get more accomplished than if you sit there and wait and complain because all you're thinking about is how you can't do it, because that's a mental block that you have created in your mind to hold yourself and keep yourself back from reaching your goals. Failure to take appropriate action. The final step is not taking appropriate action. That's when you're just not taking action. And that leaves things that really can help you reach your goals, your personal goals, your financial goals, your business goals, your life goals. You overwhelm yourself with all these choices that are out there because, of course, there are millions of things you could do, but are you doing the appropriate things and doing them on a daily basis? Are you struggling with any of these costly mistakes? Lack of a belief in yourself, lack of a support system, fear of failure, fear of success, lack of organization, lack of effective strategy, and not taking appropriate action. By the way, I've made all of these mistakes at one point in my business. The first step is to recognize these mistakes and then take steps to stop doing them. That takes time, patience, but most of all, it takes you having someone there to support you and show you that there is a better, faster, easier way. Have you ever thought about having a mentor or a coach? Why is it important to have these things? Because the coach can sit down with you and we can list every one of them and all the different things. And then we can see and write down every little thing that you're doing that has stopped you in your tracks. And then we can work out a plan. And what is that plan? To take each little thing, see what you can do to change it. For instance, if you have a fear of failure, we can look at it from the standpoint of why do you have a fear of failure? Who was it that told you you couldn't succeed? If you fear success, look down and write down all the things that you have been successful with. Then think about what makes you fear the success of reaching your final goals, and how can you change that around? If you don't have good organization skills, take a class or read a book. Do something to help you get better organized. Why do you want to get better organized? Because without organization, whether it's in your daily life, whether it's in your business, or, when it comes to running a business, if you have people working for you, then if you're disorganized, they will be disorganized. If you're organized, they'll be organized. So maybe if you have a project that you're working on, get organized. Write out your tasks. Then delegate to the people who can do it the best. And be sure to be aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it, and how you can change that and make things better. So if you lack strategy, then write down your goals and then look down at the goal and say, what is each little task that I need to do to reach that goal? Put it down and look at it as, is Is that the right strategy for you? Is that what's going to help you be successful, all the things you want to do? And fear of taking appropriate action breaks down to this, that somewhere along the line, without that support system, by having important people in your life that have constantly told you you couldn't succeed, then what's happening is by not taking appropriate action, then you're buying into, you're freezing yourself and keeping yourself from moving ahead. So why not take all of the things that you've done and look at them and kind of go back over your life, even if it's back to when you were a child, when you had no fear and you took action and you did the things that you wanted to do and you accomplished something. Look at that. Look at the feeling that you had when you achieved it. Don't you want to feel that again? How can you start putting together an action plan or a mission for your life and put it together? Find someone that's going to hold you accountable, that when you say you're going to do something, that you will do it. Why is the people constantly keeping themselves from succeeding? Simple. Because all of the different fears that we've talked about, really the fear of failure, the fear of success, the lack of organization, all of these things take a toll on your life. And the main thing is that you have to learn to believe in yourself. This is what happens, and it's the main reason where all the other fears come up, because you don't believe that you can do what you're capable of doing. You've let someone else's fears or someone else's control over you. A parent tells the child what they can or can't do because where they're coming from is based on their own fears, and because they feared something, they will instill in you that same fear. So what are you going to do to overcome it? And remember, you can go to my website, and that website is the #1 personalcareercoach.com. And you can sign up for coaching, and we can work with you to put together a mission statement and an action plan and hold you accountable to follow through on it.